Okay, welcome in, folks. This is our lab for Design 350. It's Wednesday the 10th, and we're just going to go over a couple of cool Revit things that you can be doing to work this week. Remember that tomorrow, the 11th, is a holiday. So I'm going to just jump right into it. I think you saw from the other day that we've got an existing site plan that might look something like this. It does need, of course, to have the property tags, and there isn't one loaded, so I'll go find one. Those are in annotations and civil, and there's property line tag. And I'm going to put one on here, but then I'm going to see that one's really, that's the chord, and it's not really the radius one. So if I want to go load one of those, I have to load that family. I have to load the property line tag radius. And this is the chord, so that's good. I'm going to delete the leader line and move that in here. And then let's see if I can, I'm not positive it'll let me put another one on. It does, see that? So there's the chord, and there's this. So now that I've got that in there, you can eliminate the leader lines. So that gives you a bunch of information. Welcome in. Just showing a couple of extra little things that you can do here. And I'll move those up just a little bit. So that shows you here how to get to tag that radius. And I am recording this so that you know. And then these ones, of course, I usually remove the leader line and bring them down close. So that's how you get that. So there's your existing, and the other day I think I showed that you can put the existing house on here. So I'm just gonna put something in. I don't know exactly where it goes, but I'll just pretend that that I've got some sort of a building here, and that's obviously too small. There we go. So let's say that there's a building there. You guys will put them in kind of the right spots. And let me make another one over here. I think there's another one kind of like over here somewhere. Again, you'll put those in the right spots. And then you're going to need to show where the existing right of way is. So let me make one for that. And I'm just going to estimate something. I think there's some sort of a little turny thing over here. And again, it'll be up to you guys to make this a little bit better. You can trace it or whatever you want. And then I'll connect those two. So you should put in the right of way. Oops, I made that to the wrong spot. And maybe instead of the ortho crosshatch, I'll make it gray. So that would mean that I need to duplicate my um, ortho crosshatch and just call it solid gray. So these are all skills that you've practiced before. And the foreground pattern is going to be solid infill. And my color is going to be some sort of a gray. And I can do both the foreground and the background. Let's just see how that looks. And I see I should have put a little hole in there. So let me edit that boundary. There it goes. And I can play around. I can make it look a little bit better, but let's say that's what we've got. Okay, so there's your as built, and then you might even want to put in a bunch of trees just to have them in there. So you can put in site components that are uh, trees. I thought there were more than that. Hold on a sec. Let me go back out of this. I guess this one doesn't have a lot loaded. It's got a tree. Probably can load some tree families if we want from landscape, not annotations. We can come down to maybe landscaping. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not seeing that in planting. There we go. Probably, probably we'll just put in some deciduous trees just for now, and you can just sort of populate it with some trees where you think that there's a large number of them. And again, you'll look and see where they're primarily located. It'll be your job to get the. I'm not doing it to scale. I'm not following it. You should probably post your map in here that you can put an image behind this to look at it. But there we go. Now when we look at it from a 3D, it'll look a little bit, right? We've got those things. And if you want to make it look like there's a building there, you can. You can put the building pads in if you want. So the goal is that that would be your existing. And it's nice to use these as regions because you can get rid of them or move them as you wish. Like that's probably really quite a bit more far forward, something like that. And it doesn't really move things around too much, right? Doesn't change how the thing really operates. And this is probably a little bit more forward and is probably not exactly like that. So that's your existing datum level or your existing datum level. That's your site plan, your original, and it's your existing. And remember, I said we didn't need these two. And this should say it is existing. Okay, and so we can delete these other two views because we don't need them. But now we're into the main thing that you really want to get done, and that's your new property lines as you've sort of figured out how you want it to be. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll make a duplicate of this view, and this will be new proposal. And now that I'm on new proposal, this has to change to new construction. Okay, now I still need new property lines, and you can just sketch it out. And if I want three of these, this is about 400 feet. So if I did like an offset of maybe 100, oops, of 130, looks like I need to pick. So I'm going to do those, and then I'm going to do an offset of that. Now I've got kind of three lots. And this one is a little bit bigger, so I can move it around a little bit if I want. So that I have something that's visually sort of like what I want. Okay. And then of course I can move this right over. And I'm going to make now something for my right of way. So I'm going to offset this, and I'd like a fairly reasonable way for people to get in and out. And so it needs to be at least 20 feet, 9 foot for each car going each direction. And I think a 25-foot lane is probably pretty cool. So let me offset 25 feet. And now I can start pulling some of these items back. Oh, actually, this one wants to come across to there, and then this one needs to pull back down. So see, now I have one, two, three properties. These aren't terribly big. They're 50 feet deep. That's not incredibly deep, right? 50 feet is not a hugely deep lot, but they are very long. So there are other things that you could do, of course. You could make this more like a 20-foot wide, which would give you a little bit more, 55 feet. You could even make it one lane or something like that if you wanted more depth to that. But now I've got new. I wonder what's going on there. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Let's see if that fixes it. Okay, I see what I did wrong. So this is kind of the most simple type. What do I have? They can't intersect each other. What's with that? Well, now I don't know what's highlighted lines currently intersect. Well, let's just do something to fix that. Probably wanted them all as separate lines. I don't know where I have overlapping lines there. I wonder if it doesn't like those because there's already lines there. Well, I don't know why those are not allowing me to work on those. I'll have to come back and play with that a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna have to. I don't know why that's doing that. So I'm not able to demonstrate that right now. That's probably why. I needed to edit the sketch of the existing ones instead of making new ones on top. Let's see if that does it. Wow. Okay. I actually got it. Um, Here we go. Now I know what's going on. So I'm going to go back to my massing in site and I'm going to make a new property and it's going to go, I'm going to pick this and this and this and I'm going to take one across here and I'm going to fill, I remember now, it can only do one property at a time. So there's a property sitting on top. Now I'm going to make another property. And I'm going to make another property. Okay, so I forgot about the fact that each property has to be a single property as you're doing it. So I'm going to pick this line and this line. I'm going to work from here to, and then I'm going to make my common area property. Massing in site, property line, create by sketching, and I'll pick this, this, and then I'll fillet those out. There we go. It only took me forever to figure out how to do what I've always done. So now I have one, two, three, four properties on here. Three actual properties and a common area. So that becomes sort of your your new thing here. Okay? So that's your site plan new proposal. And you can, if you want, you can, this becomes a right of way And you can start working on that. But I wanted to show you how to create those properties. I believe I might even be able to figure out how to make property table. So we're going to look at annotate. Where are my tables? Now I'm really getting messed up. There it is. View. Schedules. And I'll do a schedule of properties. Property line schedule. And so that's probably under site. Property line segments, pads. Let's see what property lines gives us. Description, family, name, type, number. Let's go back and do a different type. So this one I'm just pulling out to see site. There it is. So we've got bearings, we've got distance, and we've got the east-west. Okay, so, and we probably put that to the top. There we go. And look, so that gives us all of the property lines. Okay, we could probably even put in the phase. Let's see if the phase is in here. It doesn't look like it has the phase. So we'd have to put in a comment for whether it's new or existing. And then we can and then we also need the north south. So that would give us all of the property lines, and then we could say which property they belong to. Original, pad 1, pad 2, pad 3, and we would do that in the comments, it looks like. So you could comment that out and add that in there. Seems to me that we should be able to put the phase in there, but I'm not sure how to do that. Okay, but you could add in here whether this is existing. You could put those in there, and you could say, which of these is, pad 1 or lot 1. And then you could filter or sort it by the comments. So you'd have all of existing, lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, and it would give you all of those. So that would be a nice thing to be able to do if you felt like it. Okay, but that's how you get this thing done. And then you can add in your regions, right, for um, new construction. And we can make that one the ortho. And you could tag that as construction, primary residence. I don't know. Um, Sorry about that. 1,000 square feet, single story. Something like that, right? And then you can show where you're going to put the tiny home. So that's, and then you'll do your other sites and stuff. So this is how you'll develop it. Just play around with one of these and see what you like. Remember, what we talked about yesterday is that this might move down this way a little bit. And this property might move a little bit more like that, so there was a little bit more of a common area. And then do the same thing with this one. Remember, we talked that that one might have something like that. And then this one would change to something like that. So that's sort of the process that you would go through. You don't need the actual property line bearings and everything for this right now on this one, although it would be good to put in some right basic distances so that you know how wide you've made something, and maybe you could actually just put a distance, from here to here, so that you have an approximate, some sort of an idea. I don't know why it's not catching that one for me. So you have sort of an idea, and then I think you can even do some areas. So I think you can tag by area also. So let's see if there's a area family in here. It's got acres. There's square feet. Let's see if it'll let me pull up the square feet one. Otherwise, I'll have to. Don't know where that one went. So I might have to just check the area on that. Right? If I click on it, it's 7,000 square feet, almost 8,000. Okay, and so you could tag that. You would call that 7,900 square feet. So you would label that one, and you can read, you know, lot one, 7,900 square feet. And this one you would peg as lot two. Again, and you could even make those closer, but that would be 7,850 square feet. And then lot 3, 8,200 square feet. And it doesn't matter if those are all the same or all different. Because this is just a proposal. Somebody would have to actually go survey all that. And then this would be listed as common area. And then I forgot to check how big it was. 6,500. Okay. And you can see that's a little too small. It should be at least 20 feet as you start working on this. And you can show where your residents will be and where you'll have them park if there's a garage or if there's a covered garage. You can show where the tiny houses will be. Um, and that would pretty much show it. You don't need to do a lot more than that because your utility plan will show where you're going to run your utilities, all that kind of stuff. This is what we're looking for. You may need a demolition plan. We'll go into that a little bit more next week, but I'd like you to really spend the majority of your thought process on what this is going to be like right here. So there we go. That's your site plan new proposal, and that would go on your proposed site plan. Right click, add a view, site plan new proposal, and let's see how it looks. So it's going to look okay there. Of course, I have to redo my limits and everything on this, right? There's my show crop region. It's way too big. Pull it in. Let's see how it fits now. Turn off my crop region and propose site plan. There we go. And of course, as we've done before, we'd want to get the scale on here and the north arrow and all that kind of good stuff. So you would add those in there. You would add your elevation markers on here. But that would give somebody an idea of what they're doing, right? They're going from the existing site plan to this site plan, and it should follow what you were talking about. All right. Any questions on that?
I know that you said that we can use the lots for any kind of business, right?
Yep.
Or like, anything that any thoughts or things that we wanted to do. Do we have to post that on there? Do we have to say what business or what things are on there?
Well, it wouldn't hurt. You could put them in notes over here. There's plenty on here. And that's actually a really good model. And you could ask for some variances. Like, that's a really big deal to have um, shared work living spaces. And if you want to set this up so that you can do that, especially if you're going to put a little parking in here. And for instance, one proposal that was done last year was that one of these was going to be a beauty shop. The person wanted to be able to set it up because they saw locally there were very few, um, salons. So how cool if you could take, one room out of this and turn it into a salon, and now you've got a shared commercial workspace with your living. If you want to make it a small fab shop or a maker space or a design shop, and we talked about those in Design 320 quite a bit, right? How do you take this thing and make it into another spot? So if you're going to make it where there are some sort of business opportunities, just be sure that you include appropriate or adequate parking.
Okay. And then it's I know that it's right next to the church.
Yep.
And then there's also is there any fence that's separating it, or is it just open land right there?
I believe to the church it's open, and I think, although you'll have to go check, I think that there's fence on this other side.
Okay.
Let's go look.
And then I know that there's permitting and stuff that would need to be done if you were gonna be doing food or, beverage things
Well,
out of there.
actually, there's a new state law that that allows you to do these small in-home food service pickup things, like where you can do it for 3 days out of the week and you can serve up to 30 meals or something like that. So that's a really cool thing that's kind of available.
Yeah, it is. I was just wondering if it would be something that, if you were able to almost do like a coffee pastry shop type of a thing, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
out
And,
there, almost have like an awning,
yeah. And I
in
do
front.
see I do see a fence on that back side. So there
Mhm.
is a fence between the residences and the property that we're looking at.
Okay.
And now let's look over here. I don't think that there's one along here. There might be some sort of a fence, but I'm not sure. Let's just see. There is a fence for part of it starting after the parking lot.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty nice site, isn't it? It's like,
It is, it is. It has a lot of potential in it.
yeah, and it's really quite pretty, and you can just, it's just really nice.
Yeah.
And you might want to just preserve the two that are back there and just put one small unit up. Lots of things to do with this place.
Okay, and then we have to put, I know I need to go back and look at the instructions or the requirements on it, but there has to be 1 tiny home on each lot?
Yes.
Okay. So 1 tiny home on each lot, and then it doesn't matter what you can do on it, because I was thinking maybe, like, one of them could be almost like a coffee and pastry shop
Yeah.
type of thing, and that could even correlate with the church, for any, like, gatherings or get-togethers or things like that. They would be able to, utilize that next
Right.
door to them. The community garden idea was a really good idea. Just trying to
Right.
think of
And
the other
and
one.
and I hate to, the other thing you could do if you want to do food service is you put in a small parking pad and you just contract out to food trucks and
That's
allow a
true.
food truck to come in and park there at certain times, and you take $100 or $50 or something like that. Food trucks do very, very well
They do.
in areas where there's, obviously if this place has a kitchen and all that kind of stuff, you don't want to, you know, overcome their capabilities, but a food truck this close to ARC and some of these other things that are going around, it might not be a bad space.
Right. Right. Well, and then I mean, I guess it would really depend on what that church already has. I know that there's a church around the corner from me, and I used to work there, and um, I had proposed an idea for them to have a coffee shop out of their building,
Right,
as a way to like earn funds and things. And they ended up partnering with another church, and they ended up taking that idea
right,
and kind of running with it and stuff. But it didn't affiliate with them, so they had no, um,
right.
you know what I mean. So I wonder if there's a way. Do you know the name of that church? Is it?
Um,
Let's see.
it says Carmichael Seventh Day Adventist Church.
Okay, maybe I'll write that down. Then maybe I can see online if they already have something like that so that I'm not taking away from it.
Yep, yep. And then, if you're going to do something like that, if you're going to sort of focus it toward the church, you could always put it toward, um, this corner sort of over here, or even a small opening here where you're providing a service. But it wouldn't be bad to have something out there on that front corner,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, and then it could be available obviously for the church. They would obviously know about it right there, but then also it'd be open to everyone.
Yep, yep. So those are all good ideas, and they help the sustainability, and they help things happen, and so that's really good, especially if you want to really do it well and put in, the appropriate food storage and all that other kind of stuff, to ensure that it's working well. But that concept of they call it a ghost kitchen, that you can have a small food service operation, and you have to go through the health department and all that kind of stuff, but they allow certain operations, and they're kind of set up for local community and DoorDash in the local community, and they're like, there's a place that's only like 4 blocks from me that makes the freaking best, um, uh, Middle Eastern food. And it's just a guy's house that's a 5 minute walk from my house, and we pick up stuff from them every month, you know, and they even have websites that help those. They just promote, okay, go to this website, and that's how you enter your order, and it even tracks how many orders they have left. So, like, if
That's
you
that's
wanted 4 of them and they could only sell three, you'd have to make the decision because they've already sold their 27. And
that's
that was
that's neat though that yeah, that
yeah,
it gives you that information.
yeah, it was a really cool also law that passed recently, and I think it's been up and running for 2 or 3 years now.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So, and you could obviously really do something like that, of course, for the church. Um, you'd have to look at what the local code or the health department would say about making one that's a little bit bigger, because you can see very quickly you'd run through 30 if you were going to make something for
Right.
this is a good sized, um, you know religious facility, and
Yeah, I,
but
I would
yeah,
I would I would say, like, especially if you wanted to be able to, bring in, and generate a decent amount of income, you would want it to be something, like, legit to where you didn't really have a cap on how many you would sell.
right,
I mean, I know that coffee sells,
yep,
everyone, most everyone loves coffee, and,
you
I
know
just thought, like, even if it wasn't affiliated with the church could, it's something that's nearby that is away from the church,
yep,
to meet with people and things like that and have the coffee.
right. And now look, this is not that far away, and so food truck parking, if you could park a food truck there, you're not too far away from Auburn Boulevard and some of these other places. And I don't know if food truck would be good there, but you could check it out and see, you know, what that parking is like. I have heard that next semester in the spring, just so you know, American River College got rid of their Aramark um, contract. They did not renew it, which personally I think is great. I'm not a fan of Aramark for the services or lack of services they provide to all sorts of different places. Um, and they're opening up for food trucks to come
Oh,
in.
nice.
So that'll be kind of a neat kind of a thing. Um, but so there you go. That's just an interesting thing that you could think of. But this idea of serving this this facility is kind of maybe a cool thing,
Yeah.
right? Or even
Hmm.
serving this area. You know, I don't see a lot of coffee shops around here.
Yeah.
And so if it was something that, it's just during your commute time or whatever, you never know. So there we go. Okay. Well, those are all good ideas, but hopefully then um, this gave you an idea of how to get that done. Probably now that I'm looking at it, I need to do a little bit more work on my new proposal where I take this category and do a little bit better work with it. Make it black. And I think I used 9 on my. There we go. Right? So that's going to look better. Just play with it and have a good time. Cool?
Sounds good. And then, so the trees, I can just put them based on the picture, kind of just around where it looks like they would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You would just come in here and you'd go, okay, I've got a big clump in the front, a big clump in the back, then it's a little bit sparse. And you could even, in your existing site plan, we don't really have a demo plan, but you could put it in your stormwater pollution prevention plan of which trees you're going to move, or you can create right next to this plan, right over here. If you were to duplicate that, if you wanted to on your proposed site plan, there's plenty of room on here to put, a planting plan. Remove these. I'm removing 6 trees. I want to plant 4 more. Where are you going to put them? You could easily put that as part of your proposed site plan over here. So not everything is all on one.
Okay, and then does it matter how big the right of way area is?
Not really. I mean, it has to be within reason. Like right now it's really small with if you see what they've got there, right?
Hmm.
But in general, I'd like to see that be at least 20 feet. Um, Certainly at the start, especially if you wanted to make this parking and this parking, then this could reduce down to like 12 feet over here because it's just to get over to here and you would only need one car going back and forth here, right? But
Hmm.
where you might have 2 cars, kind of 20 feet is seems appropriate to me.
Okay, and then how we would probably just have to figure out how the parking would go and where everything would go to make sure that they could turn around to make sure they would be able to get out of there.
Right.
Okay.
So, with parking, if this is where, if they're going to park in a covered garage or a spot right next to the house, you can always back out and then go forward.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's not that's not too hard. That's no different than a regular driveway. You just have to make it, so that they can back out and go forward wherever they happen to be doing it. If you were to take this area like right here and make that parking and then put a tiny home on either side, kind of a bummer for the tiny home people because they're right next to people coming in and going out. But, uh, that could, it, however you want to do that. But you could group the parking. Most people are going to want to have attached parking so they don't have to troop through the rain
Hmm.
somehow. But it could easily be a carport attached to the house. There's a builder in Sacramento and Davis called Streng, Streng. I don't even know if he's Streng. They've been around a long, long time. And so this is their thing. They always did this kind of, they call that contemporary, classic 1960s. But they never put in a full garage. They always had a carport as part of it. And they were they did really open designs and stuff like that.
So, as far as each of the tiny homes, it needs to be both a residence and a business.
No, the tiny home is really uh a low market value rental, and then you have the opportunity, if you choose to also add an accessory dwelling that could be the center for a business.
Okay, so there needs to be a residence as well as a tiny home.
Right. And then optionally, you can add an accessory dwelling, and the accessory or the accessory building can be on common area or it can be on one of the lots.
Okay, and would that be so there only one lot needs to have a residence, but the all three lots need to have the tiny home for.
Actually, all three, let's look at it here. All three lots need some sort of main residence. That's 1,000 square feet. So let me come on here. So let me copy that. So each one needs one primary residence of 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. Each one needs a tiny home. And then, if you so desire, you can add either in the community common area or to one of the lots. You can add, if you want, an additional um, accessory dwelling unit that could be a business.
Okay, so each one will have a residence of 1 to 2,000 feet. Each one will have a tiny home um, on there, and then
Right.
one of them will have an optional business.
If you desire. That's
Okay.
and I spelled business wrong. There we go. So this would show three primary residences. This would show an optional business if you so desire, because that's how you want to sustain the common area, you know, funds, or this person just wants to do it, and each one would have a tiny home. So you can see we've gone from 2 homes to 6. That's a nice infill. And we've gone from, you know, one high market value to one high market value, two mid market values, and 3 low market values. That's the whole goal behind the infill urban housing thing, right? So that's what we're trying to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so.
Cool. Well, you'll put something together and then I'll talk about it next week.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So then, so right now we're just kind of putting all of the ideas together and then getting the existing and new proposals down, and then also the maps
yep,
as far as everything, and then the what was it? The similar site plans or the similar business
right,
things.
which is right next door.
And
So,
that's the is that the church or no? That's not the
no,
church. That's the other. Okay.
yeah, that's that's these 4 houses right next door.
Okay.
And you can even show, it's essentially a mirror image of what you're going to do.
Okay. Except for we're only going to have 3 lots.
Right,
Okay.
right. And look, their lots are about 55 feet deep. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the little scale down there, maybe a little more. Their lots are about 70 feet deep, so they've got a little bit wider than this one. But look at all that, they packed stuff in there and made big backyard. So yeah, so this is the similar. It's essentially a mirror image.
Okay. And then so when we do the map for the similar project, we're just doing the basically what we already have, but it's over on the other side right there.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
what and then I remember there were it was you had to like discuss about the similar project. Is it just saying that they're
yeah.
similar?
This was, it's right next door. It's a subdivision of lots. It's for primary residences. The only difference is that you're adjusting the size of the primary units down and adding additional low income infill,
Okay,
which meets every criteria of the city and county. It would be an absolute no brainer.
perfect.
Cool.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of work to do.
Yep. Well, there you go. And then I'll do a little bit more. I won't do anything tomorrow, but we'll do a little bit more chance on Friday to be able to answer questions.
Okay, awesome.
Cool. All
And then
right.
should I make an appointment with you for either today or Friday? Or do I just send you the file over for
You
the year?
you can, you know what? Send me the file because I don't think or the zip file. I don't think it'll be a problem. Here, I'm going to go
Okay.
ahead and stop the recording.